Hello, rug dwellers. Mr. Bruce here with the final in our stories from the Peppa Pig book. And this one is Playtime for Peppa and George. But before we start with this, let's have our eyes watching, 1, 2 ears listening, voices quiet, body calm. With no further ado, Playtime for Peppa and George. This is Peppa and George. Peppa is George's big sister, and they share a bedroom and lots of toys. Peppa and George love being brother and sister. They play fun games together every day. They play with Teddy and Dinosaur and the blocks and the trains and the cars and the Jack in the Box. They have lots of things to play with. One day, Peppa and George are with Mummy and Daddy Pig in the living room. Mummy Pig has to work on her computer and Daddy Pig wants to work in the garden. Peppa, George, why don't you two go play a game, says Daddy Pig. Oh, goody, says Peppa. George and I love to play games. George says, snort, snort. George likes that idea too, but he can't speak too well because he's just a bit of a baby. This is a lovely sunny day, so Peppa and George run outside. George, let's jump up and down in muddy puddles, shouts Peppa. She loves muddy puddles. But George does not want to jump in muddy puddles today. He'd like to play a different game. Okay, says Peppa Pig. We can play catch instead. Peppa tosses a ball to George, but George does not want to play catch either. George, what would you like to play, asks Peppa. Oink, oink. George has an idea for another new game. Peppa follows George to Mummy and Daddy Pig's bedroom. There's nothing fun to play in here, says Peppa. George shows Peppa a box at the end of the bed. What's this, asks Peppa. What's in the box? What do you think is in that box? Any ideas? Wow, says Peppa. George, do you want to dress up and to pretend to be Mummy and Daddy? Oink, oink. George does want to dress up. Good idea, says Peppa. I want to play that game too. Peppa helps George put on Daddy Pig's black hat, coat, and his shoes, and now says, you must pretend. You must pretend to be exactly like Daddy Pig. George thinks for a moment. Snort, he makes a loud noise, just like Daddy Pig. Very good, George, says Peppa. Now it's my turn. Peppa puts on Mommy Pig's fancy dress and shoes and hat. Suddenly, Peppa is very tall. There are high heels. Hee hee! They giggle. Dressing up is very silly, isn't it? Come on, this page won't turn. There we go. George, what else do I need to do to look exactly like Mommy? Snort, snort, George says. He does not know. Peppa goes over to Mama's Pig's dresser, and sometimes Peppa watches Mummy Pig sit in front of the mirror and get ready to go out with Daddy Pig. She looks in the mirror and says, I must get on makeup too, of course. First, some powder. Peppa pats the pink powder on her cheeks. Puff, puff, puff. Oh, lovely, she says. Now for some lipstick. Peppa draws on a smile using Mommy's shiny red lipstick. How do I look? Snort, George says. He thinks it makes you look very pretty, just like Mommy. Come along, Daddy Pig, Peppa says. It's time to go to work. Peppa and George both walk downstairs. They find the real Mummy Pig working on her computer. Hello, Peppa. Hello, George, says Mummy Pig. I beg your pardon, says Peppa. I'm not Peppa, I'm Mummy Pig, and this is my husband, Daddy Pig. Mummy Pig says, oh, I see. Hello, Mummy Pig. Hello, Daddy Pig. George, Peppa whispers, you remember to act exactly like Daddy, says George. Excuse me, says Peppa. I have a lot of work to do. And she picks up Mummy's telephone. Hello, yes, this is Mummy Pig. Do this, do that. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Call me next week. Then Peppa taps on the computer board. Tap, tap, tap. Peppa is very good at pretending to be Mummy Pig. All right, goodbye, she says, hanging up the phone. And done. Come on, Daddy Pig, it's time we did some work too. Peppa and George go back outside and they find Daddy Pig digging a hole in the garden. Hello, Peppa and George, says Daddy Pig. I'm not Peppa, I'm Mummy Pig, and this is Daddy Pig, says Peppa. Oh, I see, says Daddy Pig. What are you up to today? We're here to do some work, says Peppa. George jumps into the hole and begins to dig. He's having fun pretending to work like Daddy, because pigs love to dig. Peppa jumps into the hole to help George dig, and suddenly they hear Mummy Pig calling from the house. Peppa! George! Mummy Pig brought ice cream out for everyone. You must take off those muddy clothes before you eat, she said to Peppa and George. Snort, I'm Mummy Pig and this is Daddy Pig, Peppa says. Are you sure? That's a shame because I have Peppa and George's favorite ice cream flavors, but if we can't find them, we'll just have to... Peppa and George quickly take off their muddy clothes. Oh no, don't do that. Here we are, says Peppa. We're only pretending to be you and Daddy. Oh, you really had us fooled, said Daddy Pig. It was George's idea to dress up, says Peppa Pig. Oink, says George, licking his ice cream. Well, you both did a very good job, said Mummy Pig. Peppa and George love ice cream, and they love pretending to be Mummy and Daddy Pig. But most of all, they love being each other's brother and sister. The end. Well, how did you like that one? That was the last of this series of stories in these Peppa Pig book. So, next week we'll be reading other things that are different. But until then, I would like each and every one of you to wash your hands, be good to your folks. Until then, bye-bye.